All right, we are back. If you are just joining us, let me give you a quick rundown on this 1955 Willis or Willys wagon, however you want to say it. I found this old thing in a horse pasture. Let me tell you something. She's in pretty bad shape. We have since then hauled it back home. Found a 1999 Chevy S10 chassis that we put underneath it. Shortened it and put underneath it. We took the old flathead out, dropped the small block in. We have successfully mounted this old rusty body onto this S10 frame. We have successfully transplanted the 350 small block and the turbo 350 transmission into it. And that's pretty much where we are right now. I know last time I said we want to wire and fire this thing. Well, let me tell you, we got a lot of work to do before we can do that. And the main thing is this week, this radiator core and the radiator need to be, you can see how tight that is there. We need to get this radiator recessed into this core support to give us enough room for an electronical fan that's going to go in here. We may even be able to get it recessed far enough in for a mechanical fan, but I doubt that. So let me just run down real quick what my goals are for this episode. The front clip and the radiator are the most important. We got to get all this right before we can fire it up. We got the shifter. We want to mock the shifter in just to make sure we don't have to cut any more of the floor out and make sure it's going to work properly. Also, we got the steering column in. Aftermarket steering column. GM style with a dash ignition. So that's what we're going to be putting back in here. So when the parts get here for the steering, we'll go ahead and mock the steering up. Then I suppose we should probably make sure that we have a spot for our battery. Originally I was going to use the master cylinder and the power booster from the S10, but it's not going to fit. We don't have enough room for all that here. So I do have this that I've had. This is a manual master cylinder. It's for a 69 Corvette, I think. Disc up front and drum in the back with the proportioning valve. So I'm pretty sure we can fit that on the firewall. The only other issue is going to be a battery. I was kind of thinking of putting the battery in the back, but then, you know, there's really no way to do it unless we cut a hole in the floor and build a box and all that fun stuff. So we do have a cavity here. I don't know if it's large enough for a battery to fit in there, but you know, we do have some tweaking to do on this because this was actually supposed to bolt down there. So we're gonna have to cut this inner fender, extend it down so that it actually, you know, bolts to that support. These inner fenders have to be cut out. They're hitting the control arms, whatnot. It's also a reason why this is being held up. You can see where it's hitting the control arms on both sides. So it's kind of picking it up, and it's leaving that's part of the reason that gap is there, I think. Anyway, there's still a lot of work to do. My original idea, you can see this radiator where the bottom hose goes. We had to shift the radiator over to make it not hit the steering box, you know, the whole thing. So what I'm thinking of, I originally was going to cut it here and just recess it in the way it is, but I don't think we should do it that way. I'm thinking that if we can cut enough of this out of here, this is 2 1/4 inches. If we can get it to go at least 2 inches, we can recess the whole thing in. We might even be able to get a mechanical fan on there. I don't know. Let's see how much we can get done this week. Alright, so before we get to cutting on this core support, I know I said before when we start the body work I was going to start in the back and work forward. No, we're not going to do that now. I think we need to get this whole area mocked up so that it fits properly, everything is operational, and then we'll work our way backwards. So I'm kind of thinking these fenders are in such bad condition. I'm kind of thinking that we should cut these fenders off of the inner fender. Get the inner fender fitting properly. Like I said before, we got to cut some of this out. Get these fitted onto the cowl properly. Then we can work on these fenders and match the fender to that. This thing is not going to be perfect. There's absolutely no way this thing is going to be perfect. You can see what I'm up against as far as metal work goes. So perfection is not even in the equation, fellas. It's not going to happen. But we're going to get it looking good. And she'll be a good 20-30 footer for sure. That's what I thought. Control arms right in the way. Take a hammer to it right there and bang that in. I believe I've done that before. That's probably what's going to happen now. Man, if she fits in there, she's barely going to fit in there. That's what we're looking at, fellas. If I bang that in, it'll allow it to slide over just a little bit. We're going to hit that motor mount, but we only have to come over, what, half an inch? Oh man, it's gonna be tight. Gotta go more. It's called creative clearancing. I think if we pull that motor mount bolt out and swip it around, see how the threads are sticking out too far. I think it'll drop in there if we do that. So let me swap that bolt around and see what we got. All right, so after a lot of creative clearancing, we got our headers on both sides. I ended up having to cut the back of these mounts off, which is exactly what I had to do on the 46. So the 99 frame and the 92 frame are accepting the V8 exactly the same way, so they haven't changed much in that regard. Everything is clearancing, not by a lot, but it's clearancing, so I'm good with it. It's a little tight on this side, but I'm thinking I could take that header off and do some hammer damage like I did on the other side, and it'll be all right. So I guess from here what we're going to do is start working on this core support, see if we can get the radiator mounted in there, and get this front clip back on, get these fenders separated from the inner fender, and we'll get this whole thing bolted on the way it's supposed to be. And then I think we're going to start doing the we'll start doing the body work on the fenders and fit them on as we go. I think it'll be all right. First we have to get this all set the way it's going to be in order to get everything else the way it needs to be. We have to work from the front to the back. So after lunch we'll get busy on this. well, all that cutting, and we really didn't gain all that much room. Maybe 1.5 inches. Like I was saying before, the outlet is going to run into that pulley, so this thing has to be moved over. We're going to have to cut this out more. If we take it out right here on that crease, we can slide this over. This will also give us a place to bolt to on this side. We can slide this over enough so that that outlet doesn't run into the pulley. Yeah, no, we're still lacking a good inch anyway. Now this fan is supposed to be reversible, and I had thoughts of putting it on the outside and blowing air in. I don't think we can gain too much more here without compromising the integrity of the whole support, the core support. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to cut this out here, slide this radiator over so that outlet is away from our pulley, and put our electrical fan on the outside pushing in. Now it says it's reversible, but as with a lot of products that I've ordered, I don't know, other people have probably ordered too, comes with absolutely no instructions at all. So I'm sure you probably could jump on the YouTubes and figure it out, but I'm really surprised that at least a little bit of a schematic would have been helpful to explain, you know, something. Same thing with the shifter. Got the shifter in the mail. Absolutely no instructions. It doesn't seem to be that difficult to figure out, but still, for somebody who's never done it before, trying it for the first time, or even somebody that has done it before, but it's not something you do every day, you know, a little bit of something in there, a little drawing or something to explain, point you in the right direction maybe. But again, I say that's what we deal with nowadays, so we're just gonna have to figure it out. Oh, and I did make the relief cuts in the inner fenders so they're not hitting the control arms anymore. So as you can see, it closed it up pretty good on both sides. It's gapped here a little bit just because this is bent in this way, that's bent out that way. I think once we pound on a little bit, straighten it out, it'll be fine. So let's get this core support back out, get that side cut out of it, and let's see if we can get this thing mounted. Well, I think we got her set in there the best we're going to get it. We got that side cut off. Got it sitting flush over there. Our outlet is lined up perfectly with our engine outlet. I do have one of those plastic jobbers I ordered a while back. Never used it. Let's bring that out here and just see if we can mock that thing up on here and just how close it is. This is what I'm talking about. This is a flex fan, lightweight for better performance. Yeah, we'll see about that. But it's plastic, and I don't think it'll fit anyway. Man, I'll tell you what. If we get those bolts out of there, this might even work. If we get those bolts out of there, I bet you we'll have like a quarter of an inch of clearance. I think you'd probably need to have more than that, but let me get these bolts out of the pulley and see if we can't fit this thing in there. Well, it seems to clear at the top. The bottom's where the issue is. So it's just that much short of fitting in there, I guess. Mechanical fan was close, but it was going to hit here at the bottom. So there's no way to drop this down any farther. Just because of the way this Jeep was set up. Wasn't meant to have a V8 in it, I don't think. We're going to have to tackle these problems as they come up. So I think what we're going to do now, we have an easy mounting point here on this side I think we're gonna have to take some of that shroud that we cut off and weld it in on this side so we can get this bolted in. Once we get that done, we're going to see if we can hook this fan up to the jump pack and see if it actually is reversible. If it's not, we're gonna have to order a fan that blows instead of sucks. I said that wrong. We're gonna have to order a fan that blows instead of draws in. How's that? That's better. And hopefully that'll be enough to cool that V8. I'm hoping. This fan is actually one of the highest CFMs I could find, so it should be able to handle this V8. But again, there's no paperwork with it. I'm going by memory. Got it on Amazon, so I remember in the description, I think it was like 4,000 or 3,500 to 4,000 CFM. And I think that's what you want for a V8. So let's get this radiator mounted first. Get our piece welded in there, get it bolted in, and then we'll go from there with the fan. All I did was flatten it. I'm just going to go ahead and weld it in right there. Then we'll have a spot to bolt the radiator in on this side, and we'll have to drill some holes on that side. All right, we got the one side in, got it bolted in. We got to work on this side now. We have to basically do the same thing over here, is put something, weld something in here to bolt this to. Let me see what I can do with this side, and then the radiator will finally be mounted in the core support. Alright, radiator is bolted into place. Got our new brackets on both sides. It sits a little higher than I'd like it to, but for trying to adapt what's not supposed to be in here, it's not turning out too bad, I don't think. It's gonna fit, but man is it ugly. I mean, with that is just ugly. 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 It's just not a good look, man. So, I don't know what we're gonna do yet. I'm gonna say we only lacked about an inch to make that mechanical fan work. Let me ponder that tonight. In the meanwhile, let's take a look at this shifter. I was able to figure out kind of how it's supposed to go in there. The back side here, you have to pull these two bolts out here, and it mounts there. Then there are small holes on the side of the transmission on both sides. I believe that's what these things are for. They sit inside those cups, and then it bolts in the back. It wasn't too terrible to figure out. Let's see if we can mock this thing up and see if the transmission tunnel that's there has to be altered, or if everything's going to be cool. I don't know. Let's check it out. Alrighty. Come on, get in there. There we go. Well, I must say, it almost fits perfect. You'll see that these little things here go inside those cups right there, and these bolts will come out and it'll get rebolted in with that in place. So I guess Not too bad, huh? That rain's really coming down. Wow. We got the parts in for our steering column. This will go down here on these splines. And of course it's the wrong size, you know. Of course it is. Yep. Well, that's just great. I'll have to go back online and get the right one for that. When it rains, it pours, huh? On the good side, we did get the radiator mounted in the core support. But on the bad side, if that's what we're going to end up with, nah, I don't think I want that. So I think that's going to do it for today. It's really coming down out there. You probably can't hear me anyway, but we'll get back at it again tomorrow. Doing something. I don't know. All right, we are back on a new day, and yes, it is still raining. Not as bad as it was yesterday. Oh my God, that was terrible. I couldn't even hear myself talk, let alone let you guys hear what I'm saying. So we're going to try it again today. I did a little research last night, and according to the internet, the long water pump 6 7/8, the short water pump 5 5/8, so that's going to give us an extra 1 1/4 clearance here. I think that'll work. I think that might be exactly what we need to get this electrical contraption bolted onto the radiator. So we're going to have to order a short water pump. I'm kind of really glad that we had that option, because really the only other option there was is to pull this engine back out and make new motor mounts. I don't want to do that. So where are we at today? Today, well, yesterday we got the new shifter installed. It's bolted in. Just have to fabricate linkage. It comes with 3 different size linkage rods. The long one's too long, the middle one's too long, and the short one's too short. So we're going to have to probably cut this down, the middle one down, and rethread this rod to make it fit the way we want it to fit. And then that should take care of the transmission. The only thing left to do on the transmission will be transmission cooler lines. So I guess what I think we should do today, get the hole cut for our steering column, get the steering column in place where it needs to be. Then we can start mocking up our linkage. I did a little research online while I was researching the water pump. And according to what it says for this Chevy S10 steering box, power steering box, it's a 32 spline. I can't find a fitting that's double D to 32 spline. They got 26 spline, they got 30 spline, they got 36 spline, but nothing that's 32. So I don't know if the information I'm getting is wrong or just whatever. We're gonna have to figure something out for that. Worst comes to worst, we could always stick a circular to double D on there and drill it through and through. Drill it and pin it. I think that would probably work just as well. If I could find the right fitting, I would rather get the right fitting, of course, you know. All right, let's see where we're at here. Put a lot of time in on the radiator, not necessarily the front clip, so I'm gonna put a question mark there because we're still waiting on a water pump. The shifter we got in, we're gonna mock up the steering today. The manifolds are done. Also, while we have to wait for the short water pump, we can jump into the brake master cylinder and the pedal assembly. But I want to get the column in first, that way there we know what we have to play with. I got this from Jegs. It's a basic clutch, brake, pedal hanging assembly. And I mocked out approximately where the column is going to be. So this will probably have to go to this side of it. somewhere in this vicinity maybe. I think once we get the column in, we'll know much better. I believe we're going to have plenty of room for our master cylinder. Also ordered a battery box, so I'm hoping that we can do something down in here with mounting a battery. I don't know. I mean, really don't have a lot of options with that. Really don't want to put it inside the truck, but you know, we got to do what we got to do to make this thing roll, man. So let me get to work. First of all, getting our linkage on the shifter. We'll have to cut this rod, rethread it, and make it work for us, and then we'll get on the steering column. Okay, shifter is installed. Watch down there. Oh yeah. She works good. Okay, so next step is going to be mocking up our steering column. So let me gather some parts up and we'll get to doing that. All right, we've got this old seat here we're going to use for mock-up purposes. Yeah, the seat's a little low, but it doesn't have a track on it either. So I'm kind of thinking like right about there, maybe right about where I had the mark originally. This thing might help out a little bit. Put it right there, lines up almost perfectly with that hole we already have. Right down there where I put the initial mark. I think that's where we're going to put it. It feels okay. And it would be, it's a little high as I'm sitting right now, but there's no track on this seat. So I think it'll be good. And if it needs to be readjusted later, I think we'll have the ability to do that. So let's go ahead and drill a hole right there. I do not have a mount for the base, but I do have this dash mount. So we may be able to just kind of mock it in there. I originally had drawn a hole there, but you know what? There's a spot here that almost fits perfectly. But I think we should probably just drill like a pilot hole in there first, just to see. So let's drill a pilot hole. I ended up drilling in the spot that we had originally marked, only because I think it's better on the firewall and it's a straighter shot to the steering box. So I think that's the one we're going to go with. Just got to see if I have a hole saw big enough to cut that out, or maybe do it with a body saw. I believe that may be the one. Bingo. Oh yeah. That's it right there, man. All right, we got her in place. As you can see, this seat doesn't have a track underneath it, so it's probably going to raise me up another inch, inch and a half. Steering wheel's right about here. I'm sitting a little low right now. There is adjustment in and out on this if we have to do that, but I think where it's sitting right now is probably going to work. This mount that I bought is not going to work in this application. This is for a straight mount. We're going to need one that swivels. All right. So as you can see here, we have our 3/4 inch double D shaft. And of course the double D coming out of the column is a 1 inch, so we'll have to get a 1 inch to 3/4 adapter because we got a 3/4 inch double D channel. And we're just going to adapt that onto there. We'll probably have to get one more union here to bring it back. So we're going to need, we got a 3/4 to 3/4. We need a 1 inch to 3/4. We'll use this 3/4 here to go this way. And then we need the 3/4 to 32 spline, if I can find it. One to finish up the steering. That's pretty much all it is. We might need to get an isolator. I have an isolator somewhere in here in this mess. We may have to mount on the inner fender to hold this in place. I do have it. I'll look for it. We don't have to order that. And while we're talking about ordering stuff, we have gone over the budget. Not a lot, but a little. We still got stuff to be ordered, but it's little things like this that are going to nickel and dime you to death. We're going to need a 1 inch to 3/4 double D. We need a 3/4 to a 32 spline adapter for our steering box, column, mount, and the floor mount. We need the transcooler fitting is what we need. And this is how it goes with building these things. It's just one thing after another. Surprisingly, it's not really the large items unless you get them wrong too, but it's all the little things that you need to have to put the thing together. So well, we can't do anything more with the steering. We can't do anything more with the fan. What else can we do in this episode? I think we can maybe go ahead and see how that master cylinder is going to fit on the firewall and mount our swinging pedal for the brakes. So let's do that. All right, again, I'm sitting a little lower than I would normally be, so I got to take that into consideration. I'm thinking that this should be somewhere in this vicinity, probably as close to the column as I can get it. Let's mark that. Kind of thinking maybe right about there. Something like that. So let's put a pilot hole in there and see where we end up. It's brought us right through on that. There's like a lip of metal there. I don't think that's going to bother us. This is actually where the battery used to be on this. I'm just gonna pop this off for now. So approximately be like right about there. I think we're good. I think that's a good spot. Not in the way of anything, not in the way of the steering. So I think we're gonna go ahead and run with that. Let me go ahead and drill all these holes and I'll be back when that's done. All right, brake pedal assembly is in. bolted to the master cylinder. I think we're going to be good right there. Plenty of room to do what we need to do with the steering. So let's go ahead and throw the column back in and yeah, move on from there. All right, column is in. Feels pretty good as far as this goes in and out. I think the brake pedal is going to be good because once we get our gas pedal in, brake pedal's right. I think the brake pedal's right where it needs to be. If we had to bend this in a little bit this way, that's fine. I think that's all going to work for us. We got a little bit more done this go around than I thought we would. You know how it goes. Got our steering column locked in. Got to get parts for that. Got our brake pedal assembly mocked in. Master cylinder on. Waiting on the short water pump for the radiator. We got our radiator core cut down, radiator mounted. We got our shifter put in and operational. So all in all, I think this episode we accomplished probably more than we have in the past. But that's how it goes, man. Once the parts come in for all the stuff that we've started, we'll go ahead and finish all that stuff up. And I think as far as mocking up goes, I think we'll be done. That can only mean one thing. It's time to cut these fenders off and start doing body work. But that's going to be next time. That'll do it for this go around. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. If you know anybody interested in an old Willys build, this thing will be for sale in the end. So until next time, man, take it easy.